Welcome to all of you who are viewing. I am your host Lenore, and I am the Revolutionary Goth. And on today's episode, we are going to be reviewing Guillermo del Toro's Frankenstein. Now, this is something I have wanted to do for a bit, and though I know I am a bit late to this, I thought, why not do it? For most of you, this may be nothing new or unique, and I know many of you are thinking, Lenore, why do I need to hear what you have to say on this versus, many more well-established review channels? Well, my dear viewer, that is precisely because I will offer a very different insight. You see, because I am goth and am very interested in analyzing and dissecting Gothic media from a critical lens, I do feel I will approach this a bit different than a standard review. This is in many ways more of an analysis in regard to this depiction and adaptation of Frankenstein and how it relates to Gothic media and the complex feeling that is the Sublime. Now, for those of you who hear the word Sublime and do not know what it necessarily entails, I will provide a brief summarize of it, though if you want to understand a more in-depth explanation of it, its philosophical origins, then I will make a video on that. And that's something I'd wanted to discuss for a while anyway, but it will be loosely covered in this video. But for those of you who do want more examination into the Sublime and its complexities, a video will be coming on that, so stay tuned for that. But with that out of the way, let's get into this. So to start, I do want to avoid the general movie review format. I'm going to skip over the plot synopsis as it prevents spoilers, and it cuts down on the length of the video, and you could get more benefit watching a standard movie review for that. And again, I want this to be a beneficial video for people who have watched the film as well. But for those of you who haven't, there will be plenty of value here as well. So this film is split into two sections or chapters or perspectives depending how you look at it. The first section is told from Victor Frankenstein's point of view. It details his life and his upbringing. It does so in such a beautiful way, and you will notice throughout the film that when each of these perspectives are told, very different color palettes and themes are utilized. The story of Victor Frankenstein is portrayed in a way that we see his upbringing and we see the madness that his devotion drives him to. Victor Frankenstein is an insane and disturbed man. He lives and acts throughout his entire life through sheer and utter determination. His entire driving force and will to exist is defined by creation. The inability for his father to rescue his mother, or should I say, his ability to, but refusal to. His father's refusal to save his mother and instead choosing to save his brother instead is what drives Victor. Victor sees a man, his father, who is possibly the most gifted and knowledgeable doctors on the planet, who very well could have saved his mother, but chose not to, for he never loved her in the first place. She was a mere object to progress and to enhance his estate and wealth. And as such, Victor is driven mad and wants to stop death in essence. It is through Victor's story that we experience the Sublime and by extension delight for the first time within the film. Now, again, for those of you who do not know what these terms entail, the Sublime and delight, I will provide a brief explanation. The Sublime is often described in simple terms to be the full harshness and wholeness of nature and horror and our bodily and evolutionary responses to harsh external factors. These culminate to their highest degree in things such as horror. And it is as such that Goth developed side by side with horror. Gothic media is often the sweet embrace of the sublime. It is the depiction of that which makes us uncomfortable and disturbed and displays the harshest aspect of nature that creates Goth. And through this removed viewing experience, we are not experiencing the storm. We are not experiencing death or mutilation. Rather, we are experiencing a removed visage of such. This is what's known as the delight, or the sense of enjoyment we feel for experiencing something that is not the sublime, because we cannot truly experience or indulge in the sublime without truly experiencing it. If we were to, the sheer horror and depravity of it would overwhelm us and there would be no delight. However, these intersecting and contradictory ideals is what creates the sublime within Gothic media. And this very feeling and definition of what Gothic media is so greatly displayed in media such as the latest Nosferatu, but I struggled to find it in Frankenstein. Initially, when wanting to review this film, I struggled to find it. I struggled to find the concrete analytical tools that I could analyze that actually makes this film goth. And so I thought to myself, is this adaptation of Frankenstein merely goth by association, or is it goth within itself? And for many of you watching this, you are probably very confused on that. You are probably thinking to yourselves, well, of course this adaptation is goth. It is an adaptation of a famously great work of Gothic literature, and still depicts themes such as the undead, resurrection, complex ideas of creation, and uncomfortable feelings. Though I would argue that this film actually removes a lot of the more apparent aspects of sublimity within this media by choosing to make the creature or atom beautiful in a sense, so much so that, yeah, I'd crack. However, it is actually in the removal of such elements and such immediate harshness that a new sort of sublimity emerges. And it was this feeling that I could not quantify or understand fully. However, it is this very thing that emerges that I think is what makes this film so beautifully masterful. Getting back to the first section of the movie, or Victor's Tale, we see a bit of this. We see and experience the painful death of Victor's mother and the harshness that brings him, having to grasp with a relationship from a father who wants nothing more than complete devotion and obsession and knowledge to science and medical study. Victor's fate is sealed before it even began. Victor's fate is sealed before he even had a chance to grapple with who he is as an individual. He had no time to mourn or to grieve. And it is in this repression of grief and individuality that Victor must find a new sense of self when he did not have that choice in the first place. How is Victor to find himself when all of his self has been stripped of him? So this drives Victor mad, and he is thus destined to go beyond his father's aims and do the remarkable. He is forced to deal with and live within the sublime. Though it is subtle, he is forced to embrace the sublime itself, and that is by attempting to conquer death and engage in creation itself. This is one of the many ways that this film portrays the sublime in such beautiful, subtle ways, so much so that upon initial viewing, I struggled to determine, is this media truly goth? However, as the film progresses, I think this feeling intensifies, and the subtleties actually enhance the overall gothness of the film in a quite unconventional way. In fact, I think the film attempted to show Victor's derangement and obsession with bodily parts and so many fixtures that many find uncomfortable. And this is even shown when Mia Goth emerges as a character. She emerges as someone who is depicted as so beautiful, but also surreal and strange. She also embraces the sublime. She finds Victor's work fascinating and beautiful. It is this display of a corpse, a lifeless husk, pale, without pigment, and fractured, broken, an amalgamation of bodily parts, war-torn souls. And so yes, while Guillermo del Toro consciously made this amalgamation, this husk, this creature more beautiful in the conventional sense, this actually aids the sublime. This does so by acknowledging that often when we experience the sublime, it is not often in the most perverse or grotesque manners that have often been portrayed in Gothic media. Rather, it is often in subtle ways in nature. When we grasp to understand our reality and our being, the very creature itself presents a lot of complex philosophical questions. And for Victor, his entire life is devised of creation and devotion to this one thing. And once he reaches the culmination of his efforts, what is there to be done? What meaning is there to be had? What is this thing? What does it mean for him? For Victor's life is rendered meaningless, and to him that is the fault of the creature. Whether Victor has realized this or not, his life is rendered obsolete. There is nothing for him anymore, especially when his love is not reciprocated. And thus, Victor lashes out on the creature, treats him as less than an animal, and then Victor has the gall to be confused and hurt when the creature reacts. This film also brilliantly portrays that nature is so beautiful. It does not seek to be violent. It does not seek to be aggressive. Storms are not malicious. The thunder that may strike someone is not doing so out of ill will, in the same way that the creature who lashes out against its oppressor is not doing so out of malice. Does evil truly exist, and what role does it have in relation to any particular being? A lot of these nuances and aspects of the sublime we are confronted with slowly and over time within this film. They all intertwine and create a very beautiful but subtle effect. And so yes, this is a Gothic film, just not in the overt conventional way that much of Gothic literature and media has attempted to present itself as. In fact, I think it is in many ways revolutionary and transformative in that sense. Now, I know I have spent a lot of time rambling about the sublime and Gothic media as a whole, but I think it's important in understanding and capturing why so many people are just in love with this film thoroughly. Goths and non-Goths alike are appreciating this film, its subtleties, its intricacies. It makes us ponder, it makes us think, it makes us gaze in its beauty. We are essentially seeing the other side of the coin that was previous depictions and adaptations of Frankenstein. Those were all about embracing the horror and the repulsive aspects of such devices and creation. What would result in such madness and devotion? Instead, this film flips it on its head and chooses to embrace the sublime to a oftentimes greater extent. The sheer weight of the death that Adam has to embrace and experience, carrying your loved one in your arms in that way, is truly devastating. It is in scenes like these, his wish for death, his wish for sweet release, his wish for that which makes us human, all of these things can make the viewer uncomfortable when thought on for a little bit. The sheer lack of life or death, a being that is neither living or dead, is arguably the sublime in of itself. And so I think that's what's uniquely special about this film, is it's not immediately grotesque or indicative of the sublime. Instead, we view this film and achieve a much greater sense of delight. We experience discomfort, sadness, and we do experience the sublime, but it is not so apparent. This is why it's so digestible and easily understood by many, but not fully understood by most. I think to fully appreciate this work of art, you do have to have an understanding of the sublime, what all of these things mean for us, the film, and the characters' roles. What makes one worthy of ethical consideration? Is it possible to own another being? What distinguishes Adam from a human and, by extension, an animal? What distinguishes us from an animal? This film does not hold your hand. It does not say, look, here's a grotesque thing, you find enjoyment in watching it. No. The film turns this on its head. It portrays the sublime in a much more reduced and palatable way. It brings back the sublime to its very definition and reduces it. It suggests the sublime is all around us. It is in death, disease, decay. It is in our grappling with what is a soul? Does it exist? What makes one a person? It does so in the harsh weathered conditions. It does so via the storms, the scenery, the dilapidated structures and architecture. It does so via its explosions and escape from death. The very opening scene is one of the harshest realities. The very opening scene demonstrates sailors and a captain on a ship experiencing one of the harshest realities and cruelties of nature. Were you to swap Adam or the creature with some other threat, the scene is not all that much different, though it is removed of poetic nuance. In fact, I think this film's greatest strength is that it portrays subtlety. Every bit, every shot, every line in this film seems so intentional. It does not seem like the film is trying to disgust you or say, look at this gross, perverse creature. It is instead showing you perspective and beauty from all sides. It is instead showing that to properly understand something's nature or its being, we have to understand it wholly. We cannot view it as just this thing, this beast, this monster. A bear in the woods is not a monster. Sure, we may experience fear when gazing upon such a creature, especially when it poses a threat to us. But to what aim is the bear attempting to achieve? Is it protecting its loved ones? Is it vengeful? Is it any other litany of emotions? And again, I want to reiterate, everything within this film is intentional. From the colors of dresses, the location of blood in certain scenes, the contrast, the vibrancy in colors, the darkness of colors. Everything is so pure and intentional. We see humanity even in the creature. We see love demonstrated by the creature. And in fact, I think many viewers will walk away thinking to themselves that the creature is the most beautiful part of the film. It is difficult not to feel sadness and the weight of his life and very being, and thus we experience delight. Delight that on the surface, when reading Mary Shelley's Frankenstein or indulging in any other adaptation, we think to ourselves, wow, this is a resurrected husk. How could we truly understand this thing? How could we love this thing? But this depiction allows us to. It allows us to experience one of the most immense sensations of delight. It shows that nature is not harsh. It is simply a product of external factors and material phenomena. And in the end, all beings want reconciliation and understanding of their being. And so, while I know this was not a conventional review, that was kind of the point. I want to demonstrate that this is so much more than what many people make it out to be. It is one of the most beautiful Gothic depictions in media ever. It is so beautifully complex, well shot, well acted, and well written. Every scene is like a work of art, and if I were to dissect every shot and scene, I could be here for likely 10 hours. But that is not what I sought to do. I want you to experience the film for yourself, and I wanted to minimize spoilers as much as possible. Though, as with any review, to discuss some of these topics, some spoilers were necessary. Anyway, I don't think I need to say it. I'm sure you are all sensing it. This has been my favorite film of the year, and it is near a perfect film for me, if not a perfect one. It has quickly and easily become one of my favorite films of all time. Anyway, did you agree with me? Do you notice the aspects of the sublime in the way I do? Do you like its subtlety? Or do you think it's to a fault of this film? Do you think it is a damper on this film that the sublime is not portrayed in such harsh ways as other Gothic media? Anyway, let me know what you think and leave it down in the comments. And if you did like this video, be sure to like and subscribe. I will be doing more reviews on movies, classic works, and literature, as well as general commentary. Anyways, I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your day or night, and yeah, I will see you all on the next episode.